Subscribe to James the Sheriff Dixon, you motherfuckers.
All right, this is Fun Time the Sheriff season 2. Season 3, episode 2. I got that mixed up. I got my friend Jay back on again. You want to say hi?
Hey, everybody! Thanks for having me once again, Sheriff. It's always a pleasure.
Yeah, no, it's always fun having you back on. And we're talking one of my personal favorite subjects, bad movies, which is the thing that I personally think grew my channel. If you want to.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So we were talking about bad movies and things that kind of went awry, and most definitely in the period of the 70s or the 80s, there were a lot of them. So.
We can like you were talking. Yeah, if you want to just jump right into it, the worst movie that I have ever seen, Grave of the Vampire.
Yes, indeed. So I had a chance to check it out. For its time, it was something that, the horror or suspense vampire Dracula genre was trying to get its footing and starting off, and this was kind of a tale of, things kind of starting off in terms of the storytelling and the storyline, and of course the acting wasn't as it is now, and we're so predictable.
And I do know back then that something like that would have scared people when they went to go with their family or whatnot, and the theater experience.
Oh, definitely. I mean, especially you go with you mentioned it, and just in terms of the whole theater experience, some things with those jump scares, and the vampire just kind of appearing out of nowhere. And you're looking at it now from another standpoint, like, how's he so fast and he just appears everywhere? But it happens.
And then we were also talking about that movie where I think it's I'm gonna have to look it up again. It was slow. I already have it pulled up. It's an hour and 35 minutes, but it feels like 2 hours. Doesn't it though? The build up for whatever.
It kind of drags. It definitely kind of drags. The pacing is on the slower side, especially with the part where they are building up to the seance. Towards the end. So
I'm glad you mentioned that, because that's one of my favorite parts. I'm gonna bring this up. The only reason I kind of watched this movie was I watched this YouTuber group called Djibouti Dubs. They're the people that made me want to start my channel for bad movie reviews, and they dubbed this movie, and I'm like, I gotta watch this for myself to see how bad it is, and that's what they did. They make it fun. So I know what you're talking about, the seance.
Yeah. And you didn't see it. You didn't know the seance was coming. It was just next thing. Hey, we're all here going to do this seance. So there was no build up or kind of allusion to it.
And
or
Dracula
if it was very weakly pulled up.
And the original Dracula, he doesn't do seances. He's just Dracula.
Exactly. So where did this idea from a seance come from? And it's like, hey, there's no backstory to it. It's like, okay, we'll just try it. So just have one. It's kind of casual, so it's like, hey, we'll have food and music too.
And it was everybody from his class. He was a teacher too, the teacher, and if you forgot.
Oh, I remember. No, he morphed himself into a professor, so he went
somehow.
Yeah, exactly. Another thing too, it's just this dude morphed himself from coming back from beyond the grave to get a 9-to-5 job as a teacher. So, what's up with that? That just happened. So.
And he got his students to come meet him after hours at his house. So red flag, right there.
Yes, indeed. So I think another thing too, in terms of just the bad acting part, when the Dracula's mom.
You go on. I'll say what I say. Go on.
Just the whole pregnancy thing and feeding him blood and how he wouldn't take a bottle, and I'm like, oh, wow, okay.
They showed an adult male when she was cutting herself and
right. Like, okay, really, that's how you're gonna get your blood, is just cut yourself. So
how the mom didn't die of blood loss back in the 70s when the technology of today wasn't.
Yeah, exactly. It's like she knew exactly where to cut. She didn't sever any, arteries or anything like that. So, yeah, that was kind of far-fetched. But, so is the movie in general.
Yeah, I was going to say, over the dad or compared to the son when the son was an adult. I preferred the son compared to the dad compared to acting.
I agree. I mean, the son's performances his performances was a lot that were a lot more believable.
Yeah, like especially when he went looking for him, and he was the one in college, and he was like, "I want to find the person that made me who I am." You know, like, yeah.
Yeah, he had more. He had definitely kind of had more intensity to his acting and stuff.
Than to just the dad just being a vampire.
Right. Dad being a teacher vampire. Don't forget about the teacher part.
Teacher vampire.
But I mean, we joke about it, but overall, from a filmmaking standpoint, I can't fault the guys who made this movie as, bad as we kind of teasing and stuff, because, from the standpoint of the effort of dealing with cast, crew, the whole shebang. I mean, nonetheless, it was out there. I mean, it's not been greatly reviewed, but you got to give respect to those who
we're
try to make it
we're
happen.
talking about it, making a podcast out of it, so.
Yeah.
And I am a fan of the thing, like I think you've told me this, like anybody can make a movie.
Exactly. I mean, that's proof positive. So, for that, you got to respect it. It may not be the best, but at the same time, it's like, hey, you got to, tip your hat to it. It may not be a great tip, but, at least acknowledge that. But going back to just the other points, I mean, yeah, like I said, Son's, I guess, gusto and, his acting was more believable. I really thought that, because for a long time you didn't see his face up until the point where he says, "I'm gonna go after Dad." So I thought they were gonna like maybe give him some kind of makeup effect on his face, but he was just a regular Joe when you finally did see a POV of his face. So
he was taking the classes with the dad too. If you
Oh yeah, I remember. But I'm just saying, up until the point where he's talking and he's doing the voiceover, he's like, "I'm going to find the man that made me." It was a big suspense buildup. I guess it was just.
But it really wasn't.
Right, exactly. It really wasn't. So exactly. So.
Now you see why it took me a week to watch the movie. So
yeah, but it's all fun.
Do you have any final words? Please, we're coming up on that time to switch.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have any final words for this?
No. I mean, it's always fun to watch stuff that at the time was trying to be scary.
Considered air quote scary. Yeah.
Yeah. In retrospect, it's always funny to watch those type of movies. So if you want a comedic relief type of laugh, hey, go for it, I guess.
So a movie I was gonna bring up. We're gonna save the other one for last. This one is my personal favorite. We were just talking about this, the velicopastor. I know I mentioned this to you multiple times before, but the velicopastor.
Yeah, so the velicopastor is one where I actually did not. I started to watch it, but then I jumped into the other movie that we just reviewed. So I just barely.
So you seen some of it, but you haven't. Okay.
Yeah.
What part? I can probably perfectly tell what part did you stop at.
So I literally maybe got past the opening part of the velicopastor. So yeah, it was just a matter of I to be honest, I can't even recall like what I did see because I got so consumed with the vampire.
Oh yeah, because how bad. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. But I have to go back and check it out.
But this is why I personally started doing bad movie reviews to give good movies like when I find a good movie, I'm like, okay, this is definitely a good movie compared to like, oh, this is like a good bad movie. Like this is why I started doing my bad movie reviews. I don't know if you saw this on my post, but like I just had my 4-year anniversary of doing bad movies.
I did. Congratulations once again. Yes, sir.
Yeah, like just within these past 2 weeks, I just had that, and again, the velicopastor. I can't think of anything better than that. Like when you watch it, there's this priest that has these like pointy ears that I swear to God is not a prop. Like his ears are like an elf. Like he I know that people that I've seen stories where like people want their ears to look like an elf, but like I swear to God, this guy comes in and then there's this flashback to where one of the other preachers is like Vietnam, Flashback. Vietnam. I was in Vietnam, and then his wife gets blown up, and he's like, "Oh no, Vietnam." And then the dinosaur is so fake too. Like you can see the actor's legs through the suit. They don't even bother to hide it. That's one of my all-time favorite bit. Like I'm trying to reach out to the guy. Because I've messaged him on Instagram. I'm trying to reach out to him to try to do an interview with him for the fun times. But yeah. So I know you can try to do things like that for this, but I'm trying to. Like, I just love this. This is why I started this channel. Like, I hated the Transformers movies because after the third one, it feels like Michael Bay just didn't care because he changed the story for the last 5 movies. And then I just love the velicopastor.
Just motivation to your fuel to your fire. Well, hey man, that's great. We all have that movie or TV show or even actor or actress that say, "Hey, this is why I want to do this." It seems like that hooks you in.
Yeah, like you just said. Yeah, that's my fuel. Is like I want to find another velicopastor within the next couple of years, and I haven't found one yet. But like, I just want to find. No other movie has had high standards as the velicopastor. So, but like, that's why I want you to watch it. Like the rest of it, it's free. Like yeah. You can't get any better argument. It's a bad movie and it's free and it's a good bad movie. Like it's not even an hour long. You can get it done within like 40-50 minutes because the extra 10 minutes is credits. I know you like to watch credits, but like it's an hour total with credits.
Yeah. Well, like I told you before, man, you always learn something new by watching those credits. So yeah, definitely.
Oh yeah, that's right because you do have to sit through them with the Marvel movies.
Yeah, exactly. So they hook you in. So those Marvel movies, those guys know what they're doing. But you always, I think also too, in terms of learning as a filmmaker, but also in this day and age of networking with folks. If you are impressed by their work, you can, like I said, this day and age, you can Instagram them. You can see, what kind of social media.
Like I just said, Instagram the guy. Like I found the guy on Instagram. He doesn't have that many followers, and I was like, "Hey, you want to be on this?" I heard back from him, but like you said, just wait and they'll get back.
Yeah. So that's the power. Another reason why I'm watching credits, to just learn about the craft and also potentially network with people. So that's a bonus combined with the power of social media. So
all right, with that, have any final words on the velicopastor before we get into our final subject matter?
I'm looking forward to watching it. I'll let you know how bad I love it. So.
It's like a love-hate thing.
There you go. Exactly.
But okay, so this is our final subject we're going to talk about. We are right on that mark. It's you said you've seen this one, and I just saw this one like a few years back for a review on my channel, which did take up almost half an hour for a review. It's the Star Wars Holiday Special, which is perfect for this episode because this is coming out right in December. So,
yes.
What do you think of the Star Wars Holiday Special?
Well, I think it missed its mark in terms of what it was trying to do. At the time when it first came out, it really riled up a lot of kids, and they were geeked to see it, myself included, and my brother, I remember. But it was totally not George Lucas-esque. You could kind of tell that it was just, I don't want to say propaganda, but it was like more so I think a selling piece for toys and stuff, And
it was a selling piece for the animated short that was only like 10 minutes. The Boba Fett, the Boba Fett. I know what you know. Yeah, it was pretty much a selling piece for the Boba Fett short.
Yeah,
which is what everybody wanted to see more of Boba Fett. And episode 4 and 5 I think just came out before that, right? If I'm wrong.
I think you're right. It was episode 4 or 5, because we're in the 3, 4, 5 segment of during that time frame. So I think it was episode 5.
And they wanted more of Boba Fett, and that's when the animated short for Boba Fett, where he was like friends with Luke, and then he betrayed him, and that was the first also ever Star Wars animated short, by the way.
Right, exactly. So, but more so a selling piece, and as we found out, you and I both found out that George Lucas was not happy with the direction that it went. So, because it wasn't true to the storyline and stuff like that. So, just goes to show you that you have to be careful in terms of control of your creative property, or integrity behind your creative property. Because I mean, obviously, I'm sure it did make a lot of money and a lot of toy sales and stuff like that. And just for so we have a backstory. Lucas also had a foot in the marketing and the back end stuff, like the toys, the merchandising. So yeah, but at the same time, if you're diluting the message of Star Wars, is it really worth it, to get all that cash versus the integrity of the storyline? And in George Lucas's eyes, it wasn't.
Yeah, because he did sell Star Wars for like $4 billion later, and then he regretted it.
Right, but yeah, even after he sold it, but I'm just saying in that time frame, he was still in the thick of that was creative control of his stuff. But he saw like you can't put a price on creativity, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And that was evident because he was very upset about the results of him kind of relinquishing control for them to do that holiday special, and it wasn't as great as it wanted to be. So
I do have some like interesting stories behind that. Like Harrison Ford really didn't want to do it because like I know Harrison Ford's famous for not like liking his character. That's the first one. Like you can see it like in his face that he did not want to be in that like even when Carrie Fisher starts to sing and they zoom in on his face, he's like, oh, this is the face of regret. This is the face of regret. And then when I watched it, you could tell Carrie Fisher was either drunk or high during that entire filming.
Hey man, we'll never know.
And if you know about Carrie Fisher,
yes.
Either one, I'm not going to say it on here, but like
yeah, she had her battles with addiction and such. So, but yeah,
because I don't want to like diss her because she's a great actress, but like
exactly. So, but maybe the cast and crew weren't feeling it, but the end result was not what George Lucas had in mind.
And then
like I said,
the first like hour is like this dude trying to sell shit to Wookiees too, and like you don't understand what's going on other than like the dad is in the room like watching VR porn, which actually is happening now.
Very foreshadowing. Yeah, but again, it's propaganda for selling toys more so than storylines. So I mean, it is what it is. So, but I'm glad that George Lucas recognized that and kind of built on that, going from that period up until the point where he did sell off his Star Wars to Disney. Decades later, but yeah. You can't put a price on creativity.
And like I said, he does regret it. Like you were saying earlier, like the decision to sell it when he didn't want to make his original, like the 7, 8, 9. He does now want to make his own. So like you were saying, so we're coming on that time now. Any last words?
Oh man, it's always a pleasure to be, fun times with the sheriff. I just hope I'm invited back. And
no, you're always welcome back, Jay. It's always a pleasure.
Always a good time. I would just say for everybody out there, keep watching movies, good and bad, especially if you're trying to learn the craft of filmmaking. You learn a lot more from bad movies than you will good movies.
Especially like with like Grave of the Vampire, like I said.
Exactly. So, and watch stuff outside your wheelhouse. So if you're into suspense and horror and thrillers, watch a romantic comedy.
Or sci-fi.
Watch a documentary. James, Sheriff, you've heard me say this to you before personally. So yeah. Watch stuff outside your wheelhouse.
Watch something different each week, pretty much.
Exactly. It helps you grow as a filmmaker.
Yeah.
So, and another thing too, watch the credits. That's another way you can learn about the craft of filmmaking. And also, it's a chance in this day and age of social media, if you're impressed by what someone has done as a production designer, for example, reach out to them, on Instagram or Facebook and follow them.
Oh yeah,
you learn that way too.
Just like I did with the Rooster Teeth guy.
Exactly. It's all part of learning. So use the social media to help you out and advance your career. So wherever you are.
All right. Thanks again for coming on, Jay.
Thank you, Sheriff. I appreciate it.
Right. I just want to shout out an amazing channel, James the Sheriff Dixon. Oh, he's such a great guy, and he is super cool for coming to the show. I'm glad I got to meet him in person, and you should subscribe.